Smile, be chat, join for networking.
Afternoon everybody, I'm Dave Kitchen, I'm known as the Food Geek, and what I want to do today is to talk you through the journey I've had from sort of leaving university to having a couple of jobs that I absolutely hated to being self-employed. So early part of my life, unlike Richard's, was really uneventful. I just, had a upbringing with both parents, with a brother, and yeah, I did school, did A-levels, went to university, got a degree. Came out of university and went, oh, well what now? And I started off by thinking, I'm a graduate, I'm worth a lot of money. I can't be paid any less than 20 grand a year. Could I find a job in IT support for 20 grand a year? No, maximum was 12 grand. So I decided to shelve the idea of working in IT, and I ended up getting a job for Toys R Us, which paid a bit more than the IT support jobs. And I started in the November, in the run up to Christmas, and I spent about 90 hours a week in a shop unloading trucks as a management trainee. And I thought, at the first day I unloaded the truck, I thought, okay, fair enough. I'm the management trainee, you give him the crap job and just leave him to it. The second day, the whole management team came and unloaded the truck. And that's how it was. You had a store manager, a deputy store manager, 3 or 4 assistant managers, the trainee. We were all unloading the truck. I thought, this is barking mad. What am I doing? So I had this genius idea. I thought, I'll go and work for somebody else. So I decided to have a look around, see what was available, and Aldi, the German supermarket, now the 6th biggest supermarket retailer in the country as of yesterday, were hiring assistant store managers, and they were paying a good 5 to 10 grand a year more than Toys R Us were paying. So I thought, boom, we're in there, that'll do. It's all about the money. It's not really, but it was then. So I went to work for Aldi, and I worked there for 3.5 years. And it was okay, I guess. 48 hours a week, and it was fine until I started working with this German area manager. And he didn't get my sense of humour. He didn't get my sarcasm, he didn't get my wit, and we didn't get on at all. And he pulled me in the office one day, and he said, Dave, you have no future with the company, yeah? And he did say it like that, genuinely. So I sort of looked at him and said, what are you on about? What craziness are you talking? And he said, you have no future. You're not going to work for Aldi. You can either choose to leave, and we will help build you a golden bridge, whatever, or I will force you out. I'll find a way to get rid of you. And I just said, good luck, and walked out the office. And he checked every last piece of work that I did for 5 months. He was in that store every single day, scrutinising every little box that I moved, every form I filled in, every tick on a temperature chart, the whole lot. And it took him till the Mother's Day, when he came in at, I don't know, Friday before Mother's Day, about 7 o'clock, and he got to the front of the store and he said, Dave, come here. And I walked and he said, Dave, there are no flowers. I said, correct, well spotted. Good observation, I can see that. But you have sold out. What time did you sell out? And I was like, lunchtime. Hands up. I didn't order enough, my fault, whatever. Anyway, he went on, and they went down a disciplinary route. And the thing that irked me more than anything, and this is what ultimately led to me leaving, was that I was being victimised because the store manager the day before, the other assistant store manager the day after, had both had the same problem. All sold out by 1 o'clock on the flowers in the run-up to Mother's Day. So it wasn't an issue that I was being disciplined. The issue was that the other guys weren't as well. Didn't seem fair to me. I'd also secretly been recording the conversations with him because I thought, do you know what? I want some power somewhere. So I'll record the conversations, and then, later date, I might get to use them. Okay? And I walked into the store the following day after my disciplinary, and we were on inventory check. So I was starting at 9 in the morning. I was not going to finish till midnight probably. Walked into the store, walked into the brew room to make my brew. Operations director Christian stood there, and he says, why do you think I'm stood here, Dave? I said, search me, I don't know. I'm not here to play games. He said, you're not working for Aldi anymore. I went, really? He said, yeah. He said, think of a number. So I thought of a number, and I doubled it. And I told him what my number was. And then he halved my number, which was the number I first thought of, and said, I'll give you that, and I'll give you a reference, and that'll be the end of it. I went, all right then, brilliant, fantastic. And handed my keys in, didn't bother finishing my brew, got in the car, drove home. As I was driving home, I got onto the drive, and I sat and looked at the house and went, shit, I've got to pay for that. I bought that about 7 months ago. I've got to pay for it, and now I don't have a job. I got a job in about a month later in sales, which I wasn't suited to. I'm not a hardcore salesman. And I got told, my parting comment from that boss was, what you need to do is go back to retail, because that's all you're good at. And I thought, fuck you, I'm better than that. I'm not going back to retail. And then I went into teaching. I taught for 2.5 years, did a year's teacher training, then taught for 2.5 years. Really good time actually in teaching for a while. Funny story, during my teaching practice, I was at Wirral Grammar School for Boys, quite a posh school, teaching the upper sixth, 17, 18-year-olds, revising, coming up to their exams. Got them doing putting a presentation together. There's a bit of banter going around the room. One of them says, you know, sir, he crashed his car. I went, oh yeah. He said, do you want to know how he did it? I go, go on, make me smile. Did he while he was dogging, sir? I didn't know where to look. I didn't know what to say. How do you respond to that? So I just ignored it and carried on. And my mentor that was observing me didn't even mention it in the lesson observation feedback afterwards. So I thought, well, I must have done all right then. And then when I actually got my first teaching job, Wednesday afternoon, I was teaching on a corridor. There was no other classrooms up there. There was an office and loads of empty rooms. Commotion outside the door. So I stepped outside to see what was going on. And there's these two lads messing about. I said, excuse me, lads, what's going on? Can I see your ID badges? And one of them says, yeah, of course you can. Hand down his pants, flopped the waistband, flopped it all out in front of me. And I sort of stood there and went, what? And then I walked back into the classroom. And I knew a couple of the kids quite well because I'd taught them the year before on teaching practice. And he said, this lad Chris says to me, you all right, Dave? Because I'd gone white, apparently. I said, some lad's just exposed himself to me in the corridor. He said, well, you probably want to ring security then, don't you? I was like, yeah, good idea, well thought. I'd completely gone blank. Anyway, this guy who'd walked in off the street, he wasn't a student. He was just there to cause a menace. And all my boss could say was, well, I best guess it's just a flash in the pan, isn't it? So yeah, so that was my funny teaching experiences. And my second year teaching, it all went downhill. Somebody was in the department was off long-term sick, and another person got sacked in the February, and I was the one that ended up picking up all the slack. With 1 year's teaching experience, I basically dragged the department through to the end of the academic year, and that was too much for me at that point. I wasn't ready to handle it, and it was really, really tough. And then they brought a new manager in, who turned out to be an absolute arse. And the following February, we're running up to the A-level result, AS level results. We got the results, they were absolutely appalling. I'm going to say 50% to blame, 40, 50% to blame for that. There was another teacher. And there was like a post-mortem, if you like, of the results with our manager. And this was on the Thursday. And then on the Friday lunchtime, he came in to the staff room while I was having my lunch. And he said, you're not teaching this afternoon, are you, Dave? I said, well, I'm not teaching after lunch, I'm teaching last lesson. He said, right, come to my office when everybody goes off to teach. And he spent an hour and a half trying to make me blame the other A-level teacher and hang him out to dry. And I said, no, it's your fault, it's my fault, and it's Steve's fault. We're in it together. And he wouldn't have that. And I decided as I left his room, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And I walked up to teach my last lesson. And one of the kids said, are you all right, Dave? I was like, no, not really, but never mind. And one of them goes, oh, have you been made redundant? And the third one pipes up and says, I'd be jumping for joy if he'd been made redundant. Little did they know. That day, I walked out of the classroom. I didn't teach. I just went, just do whatever, I don't care. And I walked out of the classroom, walked down to the staff room. Everyone else had gone home, and I thought, am I going to clear my desk? Nah, fuck it, I'll just get my hard drive and I'll go. Hard drive and coat and I'm gone. Got in the car, and it broke down on the way home. Nightmare. Anyway, I never went back to teaching. I started a business with Steve, my colleague. Only it wasn't a business, it was an expensive hobby. Because we dicked about and didn't make any money, we didn't have any customers, and Steve thought that fiddling with the website was working rather than going networking or picking up the phone. So we split. And I'm going to say the best thing I ever did was crash my car. And this all sort of happened around the same time. When I started the business with Steve, I had to find a way to pay the bills. Brad delivered pizzas, I drove a taxi. And on the 3rd of November that year, I crashed the car in the afternoon into the back of someone. Boom. Nightmare at the time, because I had to pay for his car and get mine fixed and blah, blah, blah. But while mine was getting fixed, I got a 6-seater Ford Galaxy, which meant that I got better paid work, I got more work, so I made more money, and I got to keep it. They never gave me the Vectra back. Yes. Fast forward, 15th of February 2013. I was working, it was a Friday night, I pressed the button on the set to say, yeah, I'll take that job that's a bit out of my way. So I took this job, dropped this couple off in Tatnall, driving back into Chester, set beeps again, job going from my local pub, the Ring of Bells in Crystleton, 4N venue, back into town. 5 girls, name of Julie, picked them up. So these 5 girls get in, well 4 girls get in, and one of them had to go and sort out her shoes or some nonsense, God knows what. I was concerned she was going to throw up actually, because she looked leathered. Anyway, she got in the car eventually, we drove into town, and we were literally just about 100 yards from where I was dropping them off, and the girl that sat behind me has asked me for my phone number. That girl is Leanne, that some of you know. She is now my girlfriend and has been for nearly 2 years. And what the point I make is that if I hadn't had a shit experience teaching, if I hadn't tried to start a business with Steve, if I hadn't driven the taxi to keep my head above water, if I hadn't crashed the taxi so that I got the 6-seater, so I got that job on that night, if I hadn't taken that other job that was out of my way, I would never have met Leanne. And that is the single best thing that's ever happened to me. And without all the shit, that brilliant thing at the end wouldn't have happened. So I think that's all I've got to say. If anybody wants to ask a question, then go for it.
Smile, be chat, join for networking.